Hello, and welcome to another Rang Rouge unit of the week. And today we are taking a look at the ZTS-63-II for China. So the history of this tank can be traced back all the way to the mid-50s, where China brought a bunch of PT-76 amphibious tanks from the Soviet Union, and like every time China buys something from a different country, they decided, hey, we should produce a vehicle similar to this ourselves, and so they produced the Type 63, which is very similar to the PT-76, but it's not a direct copycat clone. China ended up exporting a lot of these Type 63s to other Southeast Asian countries because it's great for the sort of environment and battlefield of Southeast Asia, where there's a lot of rivers and amphibious crossings that you have to cross, so an amphibious tank makes a lot of sense. Now later on down the line, I believe in the 90s, Chinese said, hey, we should really upgrade our fleet of Type 63s. They're pretty pants now, especially their low powered gun. So they introduced the Type 63-A, which was an improvement over the standard Type 63. It added ATGMs and rail bigger gun. Now the one that's in game that we see, the ZTS-63 Mark II, which is actually a ZTS-63A model. The difference between a standard A model and the Mark II is that the Mark II has extended armor bolted on all around the sides, and this was introduced in 1997. So this is pretty much technically a 1960s tank that's been up armored, up gunned, and lots of fancy sensors added onto it. In game, the ZTS-63 Mark II is a 40-point Chinese tank. It has 3 weapons available to it. The first one being the PLA 105mm cannon with 28 rounds, a range of ground at 2,100 meters, 45% accuracy, 30% roll on the move, 17 AP, 3 HE, and 8 rounds a minute. Overall, a very nice mid-size to big size. The gun shoots quite fast for a standard tank cannon, that is. It's better than 7 rounds a minute. Decent accuracy, decent range, but a very nice AP power of 17. And take a look at its second weapon. We got the Bastion anti-tank guided missile. It has 4 of these missiles available to it, with a range of ground at 2,625 meters, 40% accuracy, 30% again roll on the move, 17 AP, and a reload time of 8 seconds. It does the same amount of damage and roughly the same accuracy of the standard cannon, so use this ATGM when you just need to hit something from a slightly further range. And finally we got the Type 54, which is just a 50 cal machine gun, nothing really to be said. And finally, for it is popped down to its miscellaneous stats. It has 3 frontal armor, 2 on the side, 1 on back, and 1 up top, making it very lightly armored, 10 HP, small size, medium optics, off-road speed of 60 km an hour, and an on-road speed of 110, a decent autonomy of 370 km an hour, amphibious, year restriction of 1995, and it is restricted to motorized, armored, mechanized, and Marines decks. As well, it is a prototype unit, so you can only get it in Chinese and Red Dragon armies. In battle, the ZTS-63 Mark II is your average standard Chinese tank destroyer. It pretty much incorporates a lot of the main features that China has in Wargame Red Dragon. Low armor, decent speed, but they pack a bloody punch. For 40 points, you get a very nice little armoured unit, or lightly armoured unit that is. The cannon does 17 AP, which is the same amount of AP damage that an M1 IP Abrams does, and that's a 75 point tank. It also has an ATGM, which yes, also does the same damage, and also has the same accuracy, but you can hit targets farther away, great for killing those medium and lightly armoured tanks. And this is just a very fun, cheap tank to use. One of my favourite cheaper tanks, because yes, it's gonna die in one shot. You're gonna accept that when you buy this thing. This is a cavalry tank, a support tank, a tank destroyer, to really put it bluntly. It can dish out a lot of damage, but it can't really receive it. But also, what I really like about the ZTS is that it's amphibious. And when you think of a lot of amphibious units when you're doing an amphibious assault across a flank, you usually have units like BTRs and Amtraks, which are mainly infantry support APCs. This ZTS can support those infantry support APCs and actually blow up enemy tanks, so making it absolutely fantastic for flanking around and doing cavalry tank stuff. Lightly armoured and packs a lot of punch. I really enjoy using this tank. Nice and cheap, does a good amount of damage, and the amphibious thing is also a nice little topping on the cake. Definitely use this tank if you play China. And yeah, nothing else really too much to say about it. A very solid, cheap tank under, well, China. And China has a lot of these tanks, and the recon and the vehicle section, yeah, pack a lot of punch. And makes China a lot of fun to play, I'd have to say. But yeah, that's all I have time for. This has been another Rangaroo's Unit of the Week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as usual, please just take it easy.